was born in Rwanda, and the genocide happened in 1994. I grew up in this village where people loved each other. We knew there were problems between tribes. We heard it in school. So in Rwanda, there were two main tribes, Hutu and Tutsi, and I belonged to the tribe of Tutsi. There was a radio that was created by the leaders of the country. Journalists literally were spreading hatred between the two tribes. Another thing that prepared us was the apparitions of the Blessed Virgin Mary in a place called Kibeho, 3 hours away from my village. So Our Lady appeared to these 3 kids in high school, and one of the messages she gave to the children was that a terrible thing was going to happen to our country if we did not come back to God, if we did not come back to love one another as a country, forgive one another. So she showed them a river of blood. She showed them people killing each other with machetes. She showed them mountain crashing in each other, just to show to the anger that was between people, or how horrible what was coming. I can still feel like there was a turmoil, something just like a building up in the country, and the harsher language on that private radio was getting higher. One Wednesday in the morning, my brother came to my room. I still remember he had on a jacket, he had a stick in his hand, and he gave me the news that the president of the country was killed that night. I remember jumping out of the bed, and I told him, they're going to kill us. In a second, they have put roadblocks everywhere in the country, and they started to kill people. Like the second he died, they knew which family. It was well organized. They had a list of people, where they go. They started to kill family by family. So one of the last images I remember, because I left early, my father has a rosary in his hand, and he spoke to everybody loud, and he said, if it is a matter of a small group that is trying to kill them, do not worry, we will defeat them. We have many men, many women, even children. We are here, we are going to protect our village. My father came to me, he handed me the rosary he had, and he asked me to go to hide. And I remember I didn't want to go. I said, well, what if something happens to you? And he told me, I cannot worry about everybody and worry about you. And I truly left out of obedience to my father. I did not want to leave. And I remember before I left, my brother came there and to my dad, he said, Dad, you know, you are sending her to people who are from the other tribe. If things go bad, they will kill her. And my father, who really was really wise, he said, where he was sending me, he said, I know that man. Even if things go bad, he will not be able to kill. So they killed maybe 100,000 and sent away even more 100,000 of people who became refugees outside of the country. So the next morning, about 3 o'clock in the morning, he came and took me, showed me like with a torch, and showed me this tiny bathroom, 3 by 4 feet. And I remember when I go to this room, I'm thinking, what am I going to do here? This is too small, really small. I remember there was a little shower and a toilet small, but no sink. So when you sit on a toilet, your knees touch the other side. I sat there and I'm complaining. I'm like, I don't have a brush. I don't have, where do I sleep? As I was complaining, he came back with 5 more women. I didn't know they were there. So there were some ladies from his friends, maybe other friends who sent their children there. One mother who was there with her 2 children. And he shushed us there 3 in the morning. And then he said, don't say anything, don't talk to each other. This is bad. It means you can die just by 1 word. He said he would tell his children that he lost the key of the bathroom. So we had to be absolutely quiet in that place. Don't move. He said, I will find a time and place to come to bring you food, but be quiet. And I still remember in that moment when he was worried about us, I really felt the warmth of love. Love is everything, how we care about our people. Was for us, they gave order to start searching every home to see if there was anyone of my tribe, Tutsi, who were hiding. I will never forget, it didn't take too long. I was stretching. I saw this huge group passing through the window quietly. I didn't expect it. They would come quietly so no one can jump and run. So they came inside and started to search everywhere. I thought it was like 1,000 people. They were dressed in banana leaves. They had all kind of arms. I remember long spears taller than them. They had machetes, grenades on their body, banana leaves all over, guns. It was like, that was it. My life is over. There was no basement or upstairs. It's just flat, Rwandan, simple house. So it's a matter of seconds. One voice was telling me, like me again reasoning, open the door, end the torture. Why wait? Why wait for them and then they come and kill you anyway? So why not just open? Another voice in me started to say, do not open the door. No matter how painful it can be, don't give up your life. Ask God to help you. Remember who God is. God is almighty. It was in a moment I realized that my faith was not that strong. You think you believe in God until you get tested. That's really when you do. And this is one thing I always love to tell people. No matter how much faith you have, maybe just take a little moment and ask yourself, do I really believe? And if you don't believe, that's okay. But at least now ask for the strength to truly believe. Read the Bible, find somebody to ask questions, but don't be lukewarm. Be all the way, believe completely, because there's a time you will need it. And that is the most necessary. And I remember asking God, if it is somebody who created me, if it is somebody who made me, if it is somebody who made all this, the earth, the moon, the stars, and the sun, I'm begging you. If it is somebody who controls my breath, who put me together, I'm begging you, give me a sign. Are you there? Please don't let the killers open the door of this bathroom. Because if it is a matter of dying, I can die, tomorrow, But if they don't open the door today in a 4-bedroom house, this many people, I will know it was God who did it. They went in every room, in the closets, under the beds. They even opened suitcases with knives in the suitcases to make sure that there were no babies hiding. He said at last they came right to the door of the bathroom. One of them touched the handle. Before they opened the door, he looked at him. Actually, he told us, I was sweating, I was shaking. I knew it was there. And then one of the killers said, you know what? We trust you. There's no one here. But you remember, we'll come back. I was like, oh my God, God is real. God heard me in the bathroom, not even in the church. I didn't even speak. I only thought in my heart. I remember going through the 10 Commandments. I'm like, I can do this. This is not so hard. Just love people. Of course, I'm not thinking about those I hate, but love God, fine. Don't do this, don't do that. I can try this. And then I started to open more pages in the Bible, especially where it felt like every single page was talking about this. Love your enemies. I'm like, no. Close that page. You don't know my enemies. They're really bad. They're trying to kill us. All of us. Like I will stop and talk to God. Like, don't ask me about them. So close the page. And then we open another page. I pray for those who persecute you. Pray for them. Are you kidding me? You don't know what they're doing. Close the page. I open another one. Forgive your enemies. Those who hurt you. How many times? 70 times. Not even once. I'm like, is the whole Bible about forgiveness? Like, I don't want to think about this. So I literally closed the Bible because I thought, I'm in trouble. I might not go to the nice place if it's going to continue to be like this. And God doesn't ask us to put ourselves in dangers. He just wants us to forgive from our heart. God doesn't want us to put ourselves in the hands of those who hurt us, but it's what you think in your heart. But anytime I thought about forgiveness, I read about forgiveness, it was like a picture of everybody I hated was in my face. And I hated people from the other tribe, at least in that moment, including those who did us wrong, including those who were innocent, including children who are not born yet. It was after I realized that how sick that is, that I was in this anger and I felt justified to just hate everybody in the same tribe. And I realized that what happened to people really. So as I closed the Bible, and then I said, let me just say the rosary, because I knew for sure I have to pray. I believed in God, and I promised God I will never go back to question that. Whatever happens, I'm not God. I can't really explain everything. But at least instead of saying, are you there? Do you exist? I will be asking, what do you think about this? What is happening? More than, are you there? It's two different questions. For the first time in that time in the bathroom, I felt peace for 25 minutes. For the first time, my mind was thinking about the rosary, what I was saying. my mind went to the life of Christ. So one prayer that changed everything among everything that I said, our Lord's Prayer. Then that's what I want to share, because that's where my forgiveness came through. So I remember going through our Lord's Prayer, which I said about 200 times a day, and never meant few part of it. So this time I said, Our Father who art in heaven. And I just realized, I just said our Father. Meaning, if I say our Father, it means everybody, including the bad guys. And right there I'm like, no, you cannot be the father of the bad guys. I'm not saying that. And I'm like, but I need the rosary. I need the prayer. Because if I don't, I can't live with myself. So what am I going to do? Something said, well, make sense of this. Make peace with this. Our Father, okay, what does it mean? How can I make peace with it? He cannot be the father of the bad guys. He's only the father of the foreigners and the people of my tribe. And that's it. Not the Hutu, not the other people. I remember going through the Bible just around this mystery, thinking about the words he said on the cross. I'm like, okay, let me see what you said. And first, I'm surprised, as if I didn't know before, but somehow it was almost like new. He forgave a thief on his side, who just said, please remember me. I'm like, that's it? You don't even remind him the wrong he did to you. You don't even blame him, like, well, we forgive you, but this is what we do as human beings. We want to make people feel bad, even if they apologize. No, he just said, I promise you, we'll be together on the table with my Father tonight. I'm like, that's simple? He just showed me humility and asked for forgiveness, and he just forgave. I'm like, wow, that's really nice. That will not be me, I'm thinking. And then I got it. He's taking his last breath. He still remember to give us his mother. Behold your mother. Behold your son, to his disciple. I'm like, you have nails in your body. I will be screaming. I will be kicking and hurting people. But out of the love you have for me, you still have the kindness coming out of your heart. And all that is kind of touching me, like, I'm bad. I'm not like this. And I remember what really changed everything. Among many words, of course, he said when he gave everything was accomplished. It made me feel really sad. When he cried to his Father, why have you forsaken me? Oh, it made me feel like I'm in that position, feeling like we are rejected. But now because I was praying, I feel he was close to me. But when he said especially, forgive them, Father, they don't know what they do. It was like I never read these words before. And yet I knew them. I was going to catechism, I learned this. But this one time, it wasn't the first part. They forgive them, Father. I wanted to forgive by this time, but how? How? They don't get it. They don't know what they do. And I remember before we came out, because we spent in that bathroom 3 months. Before we came out, I had a dream. I had many dreams about Jesus in the bathroom. In a dream he came, I remember he was on the cross, but I didn't see the cross, but he was skinny as I was, almost in pain. And there was darkness around, as if he was really sad. He said, my child, when you come out, you will find out that everyone in your family have been killed. But, he said, if you continue to love me and to trust me, those two things, not forgive even, he didn't say that, but loving God is to do what his will, to forgive. If you continue to trust me and to love me, I will be there for you, and I will do for you more than what your parents could have been able to do for you. So the time came, the genocide was over. The people, the Tutsis and those who were against it, helping them, they captured the capital, and we came out. And when we came out, as exactly the dream spoke, I found out that everyone in my family had been killed. My mom, my dad, my two brothers, my grandma, my grandpa, my neighbors, my schoolmates. 1 million people was killed in a period of 3 months. Our homes were destroyed. Every memory you can think of was gone. And for the first time, I wanted to let go God. And I remember I had my rosary, I threw it on the side. I'm like, okay, now I'm facing this. I need to cry, I need to be real. Because the things of God was almost too good to be true. It was like shielding me from going deeper into the pain. And that to me was not real. It was something like almost too good. So I put the rosary down and cried, screamed. This was in a refugee camp where the soldiers took us. Screamed like 5 minutes. And after 5 minutes, I felt like a giant hand of God was holding me tight. And something was like Don't cry. Don't crush. I'm still here. The journey of your loved ones is over on earth, but not in heaven. And more than many, you know heaven is real. And your journey is not over yet. And it is up to you how you choose to live your life. You can choose to be kind or be mean. Be hateful or be loving. Be kind or be bad. But if you choose love, I am with you. Ask me for anything you need. And you don't have to ask for too much. Because if you are still alive tomorrow, I will be there. Your life might be one day, 1 year, 20 years, 30 years, but you don't know how long this will be. What is in your power is how you choose to live every single day and take it as a gift. I literally realized, like, you're right. I don't even know how long am I going to live. It can end now. We were in a refugee camp. Every day we're still killing people. Where we were was a part that was still dangerous. People will blow up in a field working. There were grenades or mine, bombs. It was horrible. I'm like, I thought it was over, but it's not over. Like, God literally woke me up. And I remember saying, you're right, I don't know how long, but I want to spend whatever time I choose, I live to spend it in goodness and love so that I can go to heaven. At evening, I would take my rosary, look to the sky and say it and say, God, if you choose to take me today, I have done my part. I knew that the God I met in the bathroom was still there even when I lived in the United States. And of course, He's God of everybody. And I would pray, I fasted, I would stop eating some days or just eat less and begging God, please help me. I went to Mass, I asked for forgiveness because in the end, we are all sinners, So we have to keep asking God for forgiveness. Our sins are the only enemies we have, the worst enemy, our own sins. So because they block the light from coming in. And that is unforgiveness too, because it's a sin. God commands us to forgive one another. I used to dream about one brother who was my best friend, and he helped me a lot to heal. And one time, I saw him talking to people, and he told them, you must forgive. Don't hold anger. You went through this suffering, and now you are hateful. You must forgive. And I said, wow, somebody who speaks like me. And I went to him, it was Damascene. I got to hug him. He was like, and then he went on the side. He told me, he said, you have to teach people about forgiveness. Because if they don't, they are going to miss out heaven. After the dream, I was so happy. I'm working again. I had the job. And I remember people, again, keep telling me, like, why are you happy? Maybe it's a mechanism of surviving, but you haven't forgiven. You can't forgive this quickly. I'm like, I went through a journey. Oh, well, you can't be this happy. Because, they equal joy with forgiveness. And then I thought I would like to go to prison. People would tell me that if I meet somebody who killed my family, because they were in prison, who killed my family, I will be mad again. I would find back I will not be happy again. I'm like, really? And they convinced me. And I truly felt maybe that one is going to be. So I went to visit the prison to meet someone who killed my family because I wanted to see how I felt. Is it really true that I'm going to feel angry again, which I hated, to ever go back to that? Is it real what I feel, the joy I have? So I went to the prison, and the man who was the head of the prison was a friend of my dad, who also lost 5 children and his wife. So, and I'm scared. What am I going to feel? Maybe I'm a crazy person, to forgive this quick. So I remember he went to pull the guy. He came through the corridor, and I still remember so well. One foot was swollen. He had been beaten. He was a man who had a great job, who had a beautiful family, who dressed nice, who had really good jobs in the country. But now he was in prison in a terrible time. His hair was upside down. He had not shaved, maybe in 6 months. He was skinny. His foot was swelling in a horrible situation. And he came. The first thing I did when I saw him, I broke down and cried. And why I cried, it was as if like I wanted to say, I'm so glad I didn't see my father like this, that he never went to this position. Another part of me was like, Jesus was kind of talking to my heart like, you see what I told you? They don't know what they do. You see what happened to him for what he did to himself? They don't get it. When people do wrong, including all of us, when we do bad, we don't know what we're doing. When I saw that, it really broke my heart for his children, who see their father like that, for his wife, for what he did, for being in that situation by choice. It was just so sad. So he came and sat. He was like, who cares? He was just in a position like, so what? You know, like I'm a murderer. I did this. I'm in this position. I'm caught. It was like a careless kind of position, you know, attitude he had. So I'm like, crying. The man is like the head of the jail. Why are you crying? And I look at the man, I'm crying again. And then I told him, like, you know, I have no anger towards you. I told the man who killed. And the head of the jail, he's like, what? Did you forget what they did to us? Do you realize that this is the man who had a big group that was searching for me? I remember his people were outside of the bathroom, and they said they're waiting for him to give them a sign to start destroying the house. Because they said it was only me they were missing in my family. So I knew he did. And the man kind of felt pity, you know, even the bad guy, the one who does wrong, have a heart somewhere inside. I remember he said, you know, I took things from your home, but I really kept them for you. He stole them because he had killed them. So he didn't really keep it for me. But I said, okay, thanks. And the man was there. It's like, I didn't want to shame him more than he was. I mean, for heaven's sake, he's a father. You know, he's a man who have children my age. So the man, the head of the jail again, is like, don't lie to him. Start kicking him. Don't lie to her. Kicking him. Get out. You know, he kicked him out, like, leave. And I remember when I told him I have no anger towards him, I forgave him, he covered his face. It was as if like an evil came out of him. And he became humble. He kind of like went like this. I'm like, there is a human being inside here. It's not just all the evil he did. And when I say that, I wasn't like, oh, let's be friends again. A part of me was like, I hope when your children come to see you, you can at least tell them you regret what you have done, so that they will never do what you did. Like I wanted to communicate him that. Like, you can tell your wife, don't teach our children to do what I did. That's what I wanted to tell him. So he kind of covered him and he kicked him out. And now the head of jail was mad at me. You know, how dare, like, you don't care about your parents? You didn't love your brothers? That you would just want to be nice to somebody who did this? This man who was the head of the jail, he came to look for me a year later while I was working at the UN, and he told me, he said, I wanted to thank you. Thank me? I know you were mad at me. He said, no. That day was the first time I even considered that forgiveness was possible. He said he had given his life to revenge his wife, his children. He beat the prisoners. It's like, I would just give back and heal them. And he said, and after you did that, I was mad at you, but I was confused, and something was just like inside, I was losing it. So he said when he went home, the next morning he came back. Instead of hitting them, he wanted to find out, why did you do what you did? And slowly he realized that people were confused, they were lied to, that they would have this richness. It wasn't just like they hate. And he was able to let go the anger. And the best he did, he told me, he said, I thought I would never get married again because my life was to revenge until they catch me doing bad. But he said, I want to tell you that I have met somebody. Because I was able to let go that anger, now I'm going to start a family again. So it was then I was like, oh good, so then I have permission to talk about this. Because before I was like, oh, maybe it's a weakness I need to hide, you know. But in my heart I knew it was the right thing to do. But I didn't want to tell anybody anymore because I felt like I was like, people are going to laugh at me. And that man said, thank you, now I can live again. And of course I was able to forgive again. So that's really what I want to tell anybody who is listening. In life, we hurt people and we get hurt. Not only we need to forgive, but we need to also apologize to people. And if I can forgive in my situation, anyone can forgive. And there is so much freedom, so much joy to be able to let go the anger and live free, the gift of this life. Thank you.